How's it going, YouTube? Right, we're back on the camper again. As I said in the last video, the very next video I'm going to do is going to be the heating and the water heater. And that is exactly what I've done stroke doing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to split this video into two parts. The first part will be for the heating and the second part will be for the water heating side. This is actually future me. The reason being is I've already filmed this video. I did the heater install last weekend. I did it over 2 days. It's not a 2-day job. I was just doing other things as well during those 2 days. But what I found was the first day's video, what I did was I formatted the memory card before I actually took the files off it. So what I'm doing right now is I'm doing that first day once again. Luckily, I didn't actually do that much installing. I literally drilled one hole and fitted an adapter plate and that was it. So what we'll do is we'll have a quick catch up now and we'll go through exactly what I'm fitting and why I'm fitting it and stuff like that, and then I'll bring you up to that point of which it was the beginning of the second day, and then we'll go back to past me and we'll carry on with the install. Right, so for the last 5 years or so, I can't remember how long I've had the Volkswagen now, 5 or 6 years, what I fitted in that was a autoterm planer 2D, I think it is. That's a blown air diesel heater, the same as like your Eberspachers and your Webastos and things like that, and the cheap Chinese ones that people seem to be fitting. In a previous life, amongst other things, I used to fit these heaters, specifically the Webasto and the Eberspacher ones, and I wanted something of that quality, but not spending that amount of money. What I found previously, I'm talking a lot of years ago, what I found previously was the Eberspacher ones were quite noisy. They're very good, but quite noisy. The Webasto ones were absolutely perfect, but very pricey, as you can quite imagine. What I found with the Volkswagen was like a compromise with the autoterm heater, and it actually turned out absolutely fantastic. That particular heater, in the 5 or 6 years or however long I've had it, it has never let me down once. It's fired up every time I've turned it on. It's lovely and quiet, especially the fuel pump. I know a lot of these Chinese ones, you get the really loud clicking of the fuel pump. The autoterm one is absolutely silent. You can't really hear it at all. And what I normally do is I normally set it up to heat and vent. So what it does is it brings the temperature up, and then it goes into like a ventilation mode. So the fan is just ticking over really slowly and you can hardly hear it. You can literally leave it running all night and it will not disturb you. So what I decided for this van is I want to go with an autoterm again. But what I've done this time is I've done something slightly different. I've not bought the heater from autoterm. I've bought the heater from bobilvans as part of a heating stroke water heating kit. The reason I've gone for that one is because of the ways I can heat the water. There's 3 different ways we can heat the water using the bobilvans kit. We'll have a look at it all in a minute. So what we've got is we get a 10-litre storage tank that we get with it. Within that storage tank, there's 2 electric elements. One is 12 volts and one is 240 volts. And the third way of heating it is from a heat exchanger from the blown air from the autoterm. So the air will heat up the water going through the heat exchanger. And the bobilvans kit has a little pump which circulates the water between the tank and the heat exchanger, and it very rapidly heats the water up. I've heard it can heat the water up in about 15-20 minutes, which is pretty fast, especially with the autoterm that I've gone for. I've gone for the 4 kilowatt on this one, so it's the 4D because obviously the van's quite a bit bigger. So I've gone for exactly the same as what's in the Volkswagen, but it's the 4 kilowatt version rather than the 2 kilowatt version. As part of the bobilvans kit, we also get their smart controller. Their smart controller can take over the starting and stopping of the autoterm as well, so we can set it to heat the van and heat water, or just heat the water, and all things like that, and it'll look after itself. So let's have a look at the kit. And as I said, this is kind of future me, so the heater is already installed, but we'll have a quick look at all the equipment and then we'll go back to the installation of this heater. Let's have a look around at some other stuff that I've done as well, because since I did the video last weekend, I've been working every night finishing off a few little bits in this van because I want to go out in it soon and test it out. Let's have a look around the bits we've done first and then have a look around this bobilvans kit. Right, so as you can see, I've already fitted the Solway panels. So we've got the Solway panels going up there. I've fitted a little light into this area as well, but what I need to do is I need to finish off down there, same both sides. I need to board that out at the sides. So there's all little details all around the van like that I've still got to do. I've made the top cupboard now as well for over this seating area, so So that's kind of done. When I say done, it's done up to the point. I've not lined any of the inside up yet, and I've got to fit all the insulation and stuff into that area up there. So it's kind of done. The same as all the cupboards, they all need finishing on the inside. We'll do that in a later video. Down at the bottom, because I've fitted these Solway panels, I've now built a step to finish off this area. I didn't make it opening, I didn't see the point, so I've kept the step quite far back, but that finishes that area off nicely. When I've done this little bit of a video, I'm going to take this panel off here and recover it, because since I've fitted the guttering outside, we've had no more problems at all with that, so I need to repair this. So I'll recover all of that panel there. Just above there, look, we've now got this area finished as well. I've fitted like a little bit of an angled panel there, and I've put a light under there as well, mainly because when this bit's up here, it'll light that bit up nicely there, so it's like an extra bit of worktop that's all nicely lit up. We've got switches here for our lights. These are on two-way lights, outdoor switch there, and then this switch here is this one over here. On this side, part of our install, we've got the autoterm smart controller there. For anybody that wants to know an in-detail look of how to use this thing, because I've not gone into a massive amount of detail in this video how to use this, we've literally just fitted it and got it off of working, but if you want to know all of the details of this, I will put a link to another video I did which goes really into detail about every function on this comfort controller. Over this side, this is part of the kit as well. This is the bobilvans smart controller. As you can see, this is their flush mount controller, and we've got some nice little clicky buttons there. In the second part of the video, when we go to do all the water heating and everything properly, I can't do all the water heating properly yet because I've not fitted any plumbing in the van, so I need to do the plumbing first and then come back to this water heater. That's why I've done it in two parts. But what we'll do is we'll go through the full functionality of this panel here. You can probably see there just at the side there's a little bit poking out there. That is one of the temperature probes, so I've drilled a little hole in this bit of wood so I could poke that out into the living area. That temperature probe is for the internal temperature. There's another one of those as well for external temperature. I've not used it because I don't particularly need it, because the Victron stuff has got all external temperature and stuff like that. So this external temperature I've just stuffed behind. I've actually put it right up against the metal on the outside, so it might give us a kind of a representative external temperature anyway. To plug this in and wire it up, this is literally like a little network plug that plugs into the back of this, and as you can see, you get quite a lot of cable with it because I've ran it from there. The cable goes across there, down the side, all the way into there, and then if I open this up, this is where we've got the heating, and down here, coiled up down there, this is the cable from that control panel, which will plug into the computer. We'll have a look at that in a second. So you get quite a lot of cable to put the controls exactly where you want it to be. Right, this big white thing here, this is the bobilvans water tank. This is a 10-litre tank. And if I squeeze the camera down here, because I've actually screwed this down, what you can see on the front of the heater is you've got two red lights, one for 240 volt and one the other side for 12 volts. And we've got a little thermostat control there to turn on the temperature to what we want it to be from electrically heating this thing. And down over there, we'll do all this later, is we've got the wires there for the 12 volts and the 240 volts side of this tank. But this is our storage tank, which will store the hot water. Mounted next to it is a planer 4D. And then what that does is you can see the air comes out of it there, and it goes into this little diverter valve here. This has got a little flap inside it, and this is moved from this servo here, so you can move it side to side, and then what that'll do is that'll redirect the air. The reason it wants to redirect the air is this way is going to be the air heating, which goes straight out into the van. So as you can see there, this one goes out and then it comes out of this little vent here. What I am going to do is I'm going to put a Y piece in there so I can take a pipe back round, back down the back of the bathroom, and then it's going to come out into the garage area. So what it'll do is at the back of the bed down there, there's a gap between the back of the bed and the door, and then hot air will come out the back, and that's going to heat up like the bedroom area. And I've also got to take a pipe into this bathroom area, so I'll put another Y down that end. One will come back into the bathroom, and then one will blow out into the garage. So I've got that to do a little bit later as well. So when it's diverted the other way, it comes off and it goes to the heat exchanger. Let's have a look at that. Right, so on my bench here, this is all the rest of the stuff that we get with it. We'll be fitting this in the next video when we go to do the water side of it. This is the heat exchanger itself, and what these do is these fasten onto the front of it, and then what we do is we come from that diverter valve and we blow the hot air through this. And then what it has here, look, is we've got this little circulator pump there, and that'll connect into these pipes. So it's circulating water between this and the 10-litre storage tank in there. So it'll heat up the water through this. If we have a quick look at these diagrams, I'll show you what I mean. In these instructions here, look, there we can see the air diverter into the heat exchanger, and then the hot air just blows out into nothing. The water should take away most of the heat out of this air. If you are doing it in summer, it shouldn't really heat the van up much. But what I might do if it does is this pipe here I might take into the bathroom as well, so I can use the bathroom like a bit of an airing cupboard to dry clothes out and things like that, because sometimes you still want a little bit of heat into your bathroom area, especially if you've had a shower and you've got wet towels. So that is what I might do with that. And then you can see down here, this is the water circuit and that little pump. We've got a little non-return valve there. This is our cold water coming in, which fills up the tank, so everything will go round in a circle like that, and it won't get back out to this hot water. And then this one here is our hot water out. This box here, this is the main computer for the thing. There's the little network socket there that the screen plugs into, the little smart controller. And then all the relay connections and everything that goes out to things like this all connects into this box down here. And we've got a little box of fittings and things like that that we can fit later. But the reason I've gone for this like this is because what my plan is, in summer when we've got loads of solar and sun, we'll be using the 12 volts to heat the water. If we're on campsites, and like now I'm plugged in, we can use the 240 volts to heat the water. And then in winter, when we've not got much sun, and you're most likely going to have the heating on anyway, this is when the heat exchanger is going to come into its own, and we'll be heating the water off of that. So that is my plan, and that also keeps this van completely gasless, which is one of the main things we're wanting to do with this build. We do not want gas on it. So this is the way I thought the best way of doing the heating to keep the gas off it. What I'll do is I'll put links down below to the bobilvans kit as well, so you can check that out for yourself. The one I've got, I believe, is like the top of the range one, I suppose, because it's got the dual element heating on the tank. And I've also gone for the autoterm rather than the Chinese heater, and I've got the comfort controller as well on it, but it still comes in considerably cheaper than things like your Truma heating and things like that. If you built the kit with the Chinese heater, it would be even cheaper than that. Let's have a quick look at where I actually got to in that first day, and then we can continue on this video with past me again. Fitting the heating. Right, so to mount this heater, I don't know if you can see it down there, there's a little plate that it sits on. That plate down there, that requires a great big hole being cut out the van. And then what that does is it's got like a deep turret on it, and then that goes through the floor, and it protects all the sides of the hole. What I've done is I've drilled a great big hole out, and then I went underneath and I've sealed it all around with a sealant to stop any gases or anything like that coming in, because this has got like a little rubber gasket that fits in between this heater and that plate anyway, so that won't let any gases in. And then what it's also done is it's stopped any water ingressing in as well, and getting between the metal and this wooden floor and things like that. To find the perfect place of where to drill this hole. What I had to do was I had to go under the van because there's some cross braces. I think one's over here going that way, and then there's a chassis rail about here that runs all the way down. And one of the things I had to do was, you can see here, I've got a bit of a gap behind this seat. I had to move this whole seating out about 30 millimeters. To be honest, it's not much of a problem anyway, because that's going to have cushions and everything up the back, and if anything, it gives me a little bit more seating area. It just overlaps out from the bathroom a little bit, but that doesn't matter. And what that enabled me to do was drill this hole and miss this chassis rail that's running over here. I had to use a big hole saw for this hole. I can't remember how big it was. It was 5 inch or something like that. It was quite a big hole, and it's not the nicest thing to drill out in your van, so make sure before you drill a hole like that, you're definitely going to miss all the chassis rails and stuff like that. Do a lot of measuring before you drill a hole. I'll pass you back to past me where we can carry on with this install. Right, so I've got that plate in now. I've fastened that down, and then underneath, we'll have a look in a second, I've sealed it all around the edge to make sure we don't get any water ingress into the van, because we don't want any water getting under this floor and rotting everything, and we also don't want any gas fumes from the exhaust coming back up. It is usually easier before you mount it to mount this heater to the plate and put all the exhaust and everything on, so you're not messing about from underneath. But I've left it out, and I've done that separate because I wanted to make sure I get all the way around underneath really well with make a good seal. And I've got good access actually underneath as well. So I will be able to fit these on nice and easy afterwards, which I'll do in a minute. The next thing we've got to do is, as I've just said, we've got to put this on, bolt it down, and then we need to get the exhaust on, the inlet, and the fuel pipe. If we have a look here, what we've got, this is the exhaust pipe, so we'll get this clamped on. We've got this little bit of heat protection stuff there, which will go up towards the heater itself. And then at some point along here we'll cut this and we'll fit this silencer and we'll make this come out somewhere. What I do want to do is get it as far this way as I can so the fumes aren't going up and into that window if I've got the window open a little bit. So I'll make sure I use all of this pipe and get it as far away as I can. This black one here, this is the air inlet pipe. So what it's doing is the air's going in there through the combustion chamber, heating up, and then coming out of this one. So that's just circulating. It's two separate circuits. This is one circuit of air for the combustion chamber, and then the other circuit of air is the one inside the van, which heats up from the plates inside the heater. So that's sucking in from the van inside, heating up through the plates, and then blowing out hot air. So this one can just be anywhere. I'll route it the opposite way to this one. And then the final thing, we've got some fuel hose here, which I need to use these little rubber things here and mount that on, and then we'll run it out somewhere between the heater and tank. We'll find a suitable place for this and we'll mount it, obviously arrow towards the heater, and it needs to be mounted upwards, so it's pumping upwards. So we'll get that mounted as well. If I just show you quickly under the van where I've sealed around that thing, we'll have a quick look at that. Right, so if I stick the torch in there, so there you are, I've sealed all the way around to make sure we don't get any water ingress or anything like that. And as you can see, we've got a nice big gap here to bring all the exhaust and everything out, and I can get my hand in to bolt all the exhaust and everything on. So what I'll do is I'll get the heater fitted, I'll get the exhaust and everything bolted on, and then we'll have a quick look of where I've put it. That was nice. It started raining halfway through it, but I had to power on through it. December, in a t-shirt, laid under the van in the rain. That's not good, especially at my age. Right, so before I go and change my t-shirt and drop the van to the floor because my back's all wet, let's have a quick look at what I've done with the exhaust and that. Right, so if we have a quick look under the van, this is where it was all coming through, like I said. One bit of advice I will say is fit the heater to the plate and fit all the exhaust and everything before you fasten the plate down. That was an absolute nightmare. Even though I can get my hands in this gap, it was still a bit of a nightmare doing it. So as you can see, we've got the intake line there, and I've just fastened it up at the side here. And then the exhaust one, we've got this heat protection going down there. And then a bit further down, we've got the silencer there. And then if I get out the way, out of the silencer. We've got the exhaust there coming out the side of the van. So as you can see, it's coming out here, just behind this window here, so it's in a perfect place really, and it's no lower than this exhaust here, so it's not going to hit anything. Right, the fuel pump, I can't really show you where it is because it's right up there. Basically on the inside of the step there, on the other side of the step, there's like a nice little flat bit, and it's just in that gap down there past the exhaust. You can actually get to it. It's a bit of a pain in the arse, but it's not too bad to be honest, and that's where I mounted the pump. As you can see probably here, what I've got is I've got some braided hose from the MR2 build. So what I did is I've ran the fuel pipe down the centre of that just to protect it a bit and insulate it a bit. And then that runs all the way down there at the side of that exhaust shielding down to the pump. And then out of the pump, we come into the top of the tank inside the van. So inside the van, as you can see there, we're just coming out, and then we're going to tap into the tank there. So that is the next job. So I'm going to put some dry clothes on. I'm going to back the van off of these ramps, and let's get that bit done there, and let's wire up this and fit a few more of these bits and get it working, shall we? Right, that's it. I'm in a dry t-shirt now and I've had a coffee, so I'm feeling much better. I've dropped the van down again now, so it's level again. Next job is we need to get this fuel done. What you get with the kit is you get one of these standpipes here. What you normally do is you normally drill a hole in the tank, and then you can kind of hook that in, tighten down this top, and then that'll sit in the tank like that. To do that, you'd have to drop the tank and fit it over there somewhere, and I really don't want to be doing that. And also you end up getting swarf in the tank and stuff like that, so we want to be drilling something that you can take off the tank. There's not a lot of room around here, but what I've seen on some YouTube videos is you've got this breather here, and you can undo that little nut there. This breather comes off, and that, if you drill through the top of this, that literally goes straight down into the tank. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take it off, and I'm going to drill a little hole to get through this. And then this top here, just below this bit, I'll bend it over 90 degrees with a nice curve, just to get that out of the way, and then it can sit over there and we can connect it to that pipe, and then I can just put some sealant or something around that hole to seal it back up. So let's do that. Right, there we are. I've got a little hole drilled in. I've pushed that down. That's touching the bottom of the tank now. So what I need to do now is I need to put a little 90-degree bend in this top without kinking it, just so this standpipe's out of the way when we put this lid back on. And then I need to measure off to cut off the bottom. What we need that about 15 mil off the bottom of the tank, because we don't want to run the van out of diesel at any time using the heater. And then I need to cut the bottom at a 45-degree angle. So I'll get that done now. I'll push this in, I'll get it in, and I'll get this connected up, and I'll seal it up again with some sealant, and then let's have a look at it. I'll see you in a second. Right, there it is, that's all done. I've bent that over all nicely so it's not kinked at all. Now that lid can go back on there, the hose is connected, and I've sealed all this hole back up again. Some people, they do use this type. I did order it just in case I wanted to use it, because this is quite a nice little low profile thing, but this is quite a bit smaller diameter, so I didn't know whether it'd affect the fuel going to the heater, so I thought it best not to fit it, but I know some people do fit that one. So that's the fuel done. I'm going to get all that covered back up, and then let's have a look at getting this arranged and getting this heater working. Right, so there's only two things left now just to get this heater working. In the next video we'll do all the bobilvans side of water heating side of it, but for this video we're just going to do the heating. Right, so we've got to wire it up. There's not a lot to it, to be honest. We've only got a few plugs. We've got one there which plugs into the fuel pump that we've done, this one here which plugs into this power loom here, so I can mount the fuses over there somewhere. And we've already got some power here for the heating. And then lastly, we've got this big one down here, which goes to the control loom. wherever I've put that. And that one will go to this control panel here. I'm actually going to extend that one because I want to put the control panel up here. I've already ran the bobilvans control panel up there because it's just this yellow network cable. So I've ran the network cable down through here, down, and then it's coming out down there somewhere. And then that'll plug into the main ECU for the bobilvans stuff. So I'm going to have all the control panels up here in this area here. It's going to have the heating, the water heating, and these switches here. Right, so I'm going to get all this plugged in. I'll get the control panel up there, just leave it dangling down, get it all powered up, and then hopefully we can start it. And what it'll do is it'll probably take a few times actually to run the first time because all of this diesel line is empty, so it'll have to prime that line before it'll actually go, so it might fail the first couple of times. And then whilst it's doing that, what I need to do is this divider here. I need to fit that just after the heater, because what that's going to do is that's going to split between the bobilvans heat exchanger. So coming out of one end, it'll go into that heat exchanger. Coming out the other end, I'm going to bring a pipe down here and through out of this seating here. I'm also going to put like a Y piece in it, so the pipe can go back round and it'll go all the way there and then down to the back of the van in the garage. So what I'll do is whilst this is going through some of its startup sequences, I'll get this piped up here for the main heating and a hole drilled in the front with a vent. That vent actually I'm going to change for one that closes later on. So if I want more heating in the back, I can close that down slightly and then it'll force all the air down to the back of the van. But that's one for later. The intake side, I don't really need to fit any vents in the seat because where these lights are, there's literally gaps all the way around the seat there, so it can pull the air in underneath. So there's plenty of air getting into that seating area. That's all wired up. I just need to put those fuses in there. I've ran the control wire across there and we've got the control panel up there, so that's where that's going to live, in this little bit here once I build that across. Right, so if I get those fuses in, panel's lit up. I think what we need to do is let's get it started and see if we can prime it. The fan fired up. Right, I'm going to leave that priming for a bit. Whilst we're doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this bit of hose on here, fasten it up to that there, and then get another bit going down here and fit a vent on the front there. And then later on, like I said, I'll cut this bit here and we'll have a Y piece in it and it'll go round to the back. So I need to order a Y piece and some more hose to go all the way around to the back. But for now, let's get this bit in here. So I'll see you in a second once this is in, and hopefully this is primed and we're running. Right, I can smell something. This is the third time. Yeah, we've got hot air coming out of there now. So it's fired up. It's took 3 times. So it's fired up on the 3rd attempt, which is quite good because those fuel pipes were quite long actually. Right, if we have a quick look inside, as you can see, I've done that bit. I've not done this bit yet because I've got to nip out in a second and get a 90mm hole saw because I've not actually got one. But if I feel that is lovely and warm. So I'm going to leave that running now whilst I nip out and get a hole saw for this vent down here. Well, I can feel that heating up the van already. Right, I'm back with my hole saw, 92mm. The van is not on fire, so that's always a good thing. Let's have a look, see how we're getting on, if I can find the keys. I can hear it still running, but it's really quiet. Oh, it's nice and warm in here. Fan speed has reduced quite a bit now, so I'm assuming we're up to temperature. On the control, it's 21 degrees in here, so it is toasty warm. Everything's working fine. Right, I'm going to get this hole saw out. I'm going to cut a hole in the end of there, fit that vent, and then that'll do for today. Right, so there we are. That's that venting, and that'll do for now. That can stay exactly as it is. There's some other bits I want to do before I carry on with all of this stuff here. I need to get a bit more of the plumbing done first, and then we can do all the water heating. So we can complete this in a later video. So what I'll do is I'll put some links down below where you can check out this system yourself at bobilvans. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see some more of this build, and obviously the other half of this video, whenever that is. Like I said in my last video, this van is now road legal and I can actually use it. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to actually test it out. There's a few jobs I want to do before that though. I want to get those Solway panels up there and cover that up so I can build this bit here to stop all these bits dangling about. I'd like to get that second top box done, and I want to ply line the bathroom. I don't need to finish it yet, I just want it to look plywood rather than like this. And then I can manage without water for a little while, just while I get that completed. But the plumbing is actually going to be the next job after I've done these few jobs that we've just spoke about now. So when we've completed these few little jobs here, I will do a little bit of a video of a maiden voyage out in this van, just to see how it's going, see if anything falls off it as we're driving down the road. So look out for that as well. Like the video if you liked it, comment below anything you want to put. I do like reading all your comments. Like the video if you liked it, and I'll catch you in another video. Cheers! Just packing my tools away, and I've just found a 92mm hole saw, exactly the same as that one. What an idiot.